but that doesn't make it music therapy.
Okay, so music therapy is, in essence, because if I say music therapy, some people may think, oh, I'm just relaxing, lying down, listening to music.
Correct.
No, it's very intentional. It's very a specific goal or specific objective.
Exactly. Intentional. I like that word.
Okay.
Now, I think because you gave us some examples and I wrote a few of them down, some people might think it's obvious. Emotional therapy goals with music makes sense. We could kind of understand that even though you've literally just said, well, it's not what we necessarily think it is. It's more than that. But it's still an obvious start. But motor skills, I don't know if you could just kind of explain to us, how does music therapy help with someone either developing or relearning motor skills? I assume it could be anything from walking to maybe just how to use your hand to do things like pick up, you know, you might have a hand injury, you can't pick up a fork anymore, you need to kind of relearn that. How does music therapy help with that?
So music is amazing. I must just say that, first and foremost. It actually activates every center in your brain simultaneously, unlike any other thing else, right?
So that whole left brain versus right brain thing?
No, music activates the whole brain.
Wow.
The whole brain. And so because it's activating the entire brain simultaneously, it's easier to form new neural connections in order to create all of the things that we want to create with it. So let's say I have a child who has some sort of developmental delay. Let's say it's cerebral palsy. And they have a very difficult time using any of their body at all. Let's say they're both their arms and their legs, they're in a wheelchair, they can't do much, right? But the music is a motivator, right? So you're playing music, it wants to motivate, it causes them to be motivated to try. It also gives them that rhythm to help them work with. So a lot of the times having a rhythm, your body just innately responds to rhythm. Have you ever seen a parrot dance?
A parrot dance?
A parrot, yes, a parrot. Have you ever seen a parrot bobbing their head to music?
Yes.
I haven't, but...
check it out, it's on YouTube, any of the social media, right? There's a part of the brain, I forgot the name of it, but your body responds innately to rhythm. And because of that innate response, you are able to make connections a lot easier, right? So that's the second thing, and rhythm. And then, I mean, usually I have lots of pretty instruments and really engaging things to really make it very enjoyable.
Okay.
And so let's say it's difficult to move your arm. It's difficult for you to grasp an instrument or grasp a mallet to play an instrument. You're hearing a song that you really like, you're hearing a beat, it makes it easier to grasp and to just hit the instrument in time to the beat. And it really helps to make achieving those goals a reality. Right? Makes it much easier, as opposed to, no offense to the other therapists, but a little easier than going to the occupational therapist and the physical therapist who just telling you to do it and showing you. I mean, they've gotten with the times and they started using music too, right?
Okay.
But the music really just pushes it to the next level and makes it easier to achieve those goals and help build muscle tone and help find, you know, the brain find the dexterity required in the fingers or in the locomotion of your moving of your arms and your legs, whatever it is that they're working on.
Okay.
And speech therapy would be kind of similar, but obviously with different exercises.
Yes.
I'm assuming singing would then maybe help with speech.
Yes. So, all right, so one of the populations that I work extensively with is the autism, those who have autism. And when they are learning to speak, sometimes it's difficult for their brains to process both the receptive language and the expressive language. When you're singing it, because music has phrasing and it's predictable in some ways, just like you were saying, right? You're looking for something new, but the predictability of music actually is very good in music therapy. We have like a verse and a chorus. You know it have a verse, you know it have a chorus. And I mean, for like you, Mark, you understand that there's like a chord coming to the end of a song. You must go back to do, you must go back home.
Yeah.
All of this anticipation in the brain, even though the client mightn't understand all of the terminology and all of that, I understand it as a music therapist, and I am using it to guide them towards the home. So let's say I want a child to be able to sing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, which is very difficult for some of them. I would sing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little, and leave that blank there. And they might say, star, star, how I wonder what you And these are children that don't usually communicate in real time. They have a very difficult time responding to questions or statements made, and they will either use echolalia to kind of just repeat exactly what you said back to you because their brain doesn't process it quickly, or they'll take it in and then they'll answer you like 2 hours after the fact, then it makes no sense because it's out of context, right? Everybody's autism is a little bit different, but the reality is their communication pattern is difficult for everybody else to kind of understand what's going on with them. And music kind of creates this space and this controlled situation where their brains, because of rhythm and because of phrasing and because of the natural way that music flows, it just allows it all to kind of fit within sequence, and their brain makes sense of it, because we're not asking them to do speech only. We're not asking them to use the oral motor skills required to develop and to produce those sounds. We're actually using the music as well. We're using the rhythm, and when you use more than one thing simultaneously, it really just explodes, right? So I've had clients come to me not speaking at the age of 4 or 3 or 4 or 5, not speaking at all. And within about 3 to 6 months, being able to say single words. I mean, parents have been in tears because these are children that don't speak at all, right? But the music has been very effective to help develop speech, to help develop motor skills, and to help with even things like emotional regulation. Imagine not being able to explain anything that you feel. How are you going to be? You're going to be angry all the time. You're going to be throwing things.
Frustrated.
You're going to be having tantrums, right? Because nobody really understands you. And the music therapy space offers the opportunity for many persons, whether it's a child or an adult, because I also work with the elderly who have Alzheimer's dementia, to kind of express what they cannot necessarily express verbally. And so they're able to express themselves musically, creatively, and have an opportunity to feel heard. So it's kind of like this catch-all. Again, my colleagues might say, well, she feels yes. But the reality is I feel like if I do a lot of what they do, what everybody else does, but using music. So I do what the occupational therapist does, using music. I do what the speech therapist does, using music. I do what the psychologist does, using music. Right? So this is kind of what I do as a music therapist.
Okay. So I remember, because I had to do a music therapy course in UE, and I enjoyed it, but I think one of the biggest distinctions I had to make was music therapy, because you have to do like, you have to write down the clinic, you have to write down the activities, you have to have the objectives. It's almost like a lesson plan in music education, but the goals and the objectives are different. And that was one of the things that I struggled with, because then it hit me, this is not music education.
Correct.
You're not teaching them to learn to play an instrument, you're not teaching them to read music.
No.
You're just using the instrument and using the music to get a specific objective, where it be, as you said, the motor skills, the emotional regulation, or all of those things. So it's really just a tool, and it makes sense because, as you started off by saying, the music, it engages the entire brain. So if somebody is just working on the motor skills just by physical activity, then you're not necessarily using the entire brain. You're only using the parts of the brain that have to do
Physical activity.
But when you're using music as the medium, then the entire brain is, and then all of those nerve endings, all of those receptors, they get developed and new ones are created.
Exactly. So it finds a different pathway around. So let's say you had a stroke and there's like this dead part of your brain, literal dead part of your brain. You can't use that part. But when you engage the entire brain using music, it's able to connect new pathways around that, and therefore create that new pathway to be able to regain speech, to regain some of your mobility, to do all of these things that you were once able to do, you can do it again.
Okay, interesting.
Now, music therapy in TNT, are there other practitioners? Are you one of the first? Or?
So I am one of 5. We are very, very small community still. I mean, I've been back for 10 years now, approximately, well, 11 now. And we have been growing, but slowly and steadily. Only 5 music therapists. There's 1 in Tobago, and then 4 of us are in Trinidad.
You finish your studies abroad?
Yes, so I studied at New York University. I did my Master's of Arts in Music Therapy there, and I also studied at UE, just like Mark. I did my undergraduate in music there.
All right. So so to be a music therapist, undergraduate, masters, you have to go through any sort of licensing or anything like that?
Correct. So I'm also licensed. I have my American certification. So in order to practice internationally, I have to have licensure. So I have a board exam to complete after I finish my, my studies, and 1,500 hours of internship as well.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's so. Kind of take us through a little demo, a little session. Like what does that mean? So let's say parents come to you with let's say their child who has a specific issue that they deal with, be it physically, emotionally, anything like that. And so what do you do? What's the conversation that you have? And then what do you do in the session? And is there like a follow-up? What are some of like, what goes through the process with us?
All right, so everybody's different. So you're asking me about emotional regulation, right?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So emotional regulation, typically persons coming with those issues, they've either had trauma or they have ADHD or they're autistic and they don't have very good ability to speak, or even Down syndrome. Anybody who's having any sort of turmoil and they're coming for emotional regulation, their sessions will be different based on what their needs are, but in general, the first thing I have to do is assess what their needs are and then also assess their preferences. So you might like to listen to reggae, but you might hate it. And so this session is specifically tailored to each client. It's based on your musical preferences. So the music that I might play in your session or play with you in your session will be totally different from your session. So yours might be real upbeat, and yours will be real mellow, right? It all depends on what works for that individual and what they're also used to. So a lot of times your preferences are based on what you are exposed to, especially as a child. They don't have a vast number of things to pull on, but it's what they would have been introduced to. So the familiar songs, the songs that give them a sense of calm and peace and that they would know. So that's where I would start, finding out what works for them, and if they can't articulate it, certainly asking the parents, and then we go from there. I'm all jacketed up today and whatnot, but usually Auntie Martina is on the floor in my jeans, in a very comfortable top, so that, you know, we're playing, we're on the ground. Sometimes I have to be jumping up and down, and especially if it's emotional regulation, I have to get in there, I have to move with them, we dancing, we singing, and we having a good, comfortable shoes.
Most of your clients are kids.
Not all of them.
But not all.
I will have you know, yesterday I was at an old folks home and I had them showing me their motion with some scarves and whatnot. I mean, it wasn't for emotional regulation. It was actually more to get their heart rate elevated and getting that much needed exercise that they need, because they're just sitting down doing nothing all day long, right? So we want to get the heart rate going, and so that they can get that oxygen flowing throughout their body, and also ensure that, you know, once you get the oxygen going, many good things start happening with the brain, and they become more lucid, they're more able to, you know, communicate clearly.
All right, I see you have some, you all can't see it right now, but sort of side stage, she has some instruments here, so I'm not sure what we're about to do, but we're about to do something. Oh, all right.
I'm hidden. All right, so I have a lovely drum here. And I promised not to make Sean sing. He told me before he didn't want to do it. So I would like Sean to give me a little bit of a demo on the drum. Have you ever played a drum before?
Not really, no.
Well, perfect. So, no, it's a good thing. A lot of people wonder, can I go to music therapy if I've never done music before? Yes, you can. You do not need to know how to play an instrument. You don't even need to know how to sing. You could be tone deaf, if anything. It works, right? So,
let's give that to Sean.
So let's, hold on to the drum for me, Sean.
Big up, Sean.
Oh boy. I don't know what I'm doing with this thing, but I have it now.
All right, so we're doing a little bit of role play. All right, so get in touch with your inner child. I think you could do that easily. You seem to be very joyful.
I've never lost touch with my inner child.
Excellent. Good.
Meanwhile, my inner adult, unfortunately, is somewhat stagnated there. You know, locked in the basement of my subconscious.
So let's think about yourself when you were 6 years old.
Okay.
6-year-old Sean, just having fun with a drum. What would you do? I give you the drum as a 6-year-old. What would you do? You wouldn't hold it.
I legit have no idea. I don't know if I ever had a drum at 6 years old. I don't know.
Right, you would just randomly
Something like
start
that,
touching it and playing it, right? Very good. My guitar's out of tune.
What's the drum, right? It's not me.
Nice. So you see how you were able to stop with the freezing of the music? I didn't
Right.
say a word. I didn't tell you stop. I didn't tell you play. I just used the music, and you were able to regulate yourself and regulate your playing along with the freezing. And so music just has this intangible quality to kind of contain what is needing to be expressed. Even if you had like much more exuberance, because a lot of times if they have emotional regulations issues, they're either going to be really angry and they'll hit the drum really hard, or they're going to beat it really fast. And I meet you there, right? I start there, I'd start really fast, and then slowly bring you down, right? Bring the tempo of the music down, and they will follow. And so in doing so, I actually regulate your heart rate as well. Typically, when you listen to fast music, your heart rate tries to speed up with it, and if you listen to slower music, your heart rate actually tries to slow down with it.
But it's also like when you are at an elevated sense of emotion, you psychologically, you don't
Yes.
want to be slow. You want to be
Fast
loud
and
or
fast and exuberant
hard
and everything.
or you want energy
be
needs
heard.
to be expended at a high level, not
Correct.
at a mellow, soft level.
Exactly. And so I have to meet you there. In order for me to help you regulate that, I can't come in all timid and you're not going to even hear the instrument that I'm playing. You won't hear me. So I need to meet you where you are and help you come down to where your baseline should be. Now, a lot of the times with children who have ADHD, it's very difficult for them to find that baseline and be able to understand it. And so we spend some weeks working on things like this where we work at playing fast music and then slow music, and let's find middle. Where is the medium? How do you play medium? And we explore that. Where is medium? Where is your baseline? And eventually they're able to get it. Now, yes, am I going to cure you miraculously and you're never going to feel like if you need to have an outburst? No. But I'm going to help you have the tools to be able to cope and calm and regulate yourself when those emotions and those periods of anxiety or whatever feeling it is comes up.
Okay, what else do you have for us?
Hold on.
nice.
Inner child, you all right?
Well, is it really inner
Okay.
at this point?
He's just so, this is too much. This is absolutely too much. He said his inner adult.
Do you have your inner adult? Is it bottled up? I don't know about
Has
that.
this been showing the child the entire time?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So I gave Mark something before and he was so excited about it.
I know, right? Yeah, this is definitely inner child coming out now.
I didn't think he would know what it was called, but this is called a kazoo.
Yes.
And a kazoo is a wind instrument, but it also needs your voice to activate it. So a lot of times when I have clients who come in and they don't speak, or they're trying to regain their mobility of speech, or maybe they have some minimal paralysis on one side of their mouth and so forth, I like to use the kazoo as a means to kind of motivate them and keep them engaged. So we play little silly games on the kazoo actually. So you guys missed him trying it for the first time, but initially he put it in his mouth and he blew and he was like, I'm not getting anything. What's happening? I'm
You're
not
blowing
getting
now,
sound.
right? For those who don't know, he is blowing.
Right, but
and nothing's coming out.
in order for it to make a sound, he must engage his vocal cords. So whoop, yeah, and we can make
So cool.
and we can have lots of fun engaging through this kazoo, right?
Okay.
So
Is that initial reaction part of it? That
Yeah.
when they just blow, they're like, nothing's happening. I don't understand.
yeah,
This
I
thing is
enjoy
broken.
it. Yes.
Wow!
She looks forward to it.
Wow! I enjoy your confusion and
Yes,
misery
why
at your
not?
failure.
Oh my God.
Look at it, you're gonna have so much fun. And then I showed it, I'm then like, what?
Okay.
Oh, so that's where it really comes in, the surprise. And
Yes,
no,
I
it
love
works.
the expression when they're like, oh my goodness, I made a sound.
Wow.
But you may not think about it very hard right now because, I mean, physically nothing is wrong with you that I know of, right? That I know of. I don't know what's going on, Mom.
There's a lot going on.
Oh, gosh. But you can engage your lips. You can engage all of your oral, motor, and facial muscles very easily. But for, let's say, someone who has cerebral palsy, or they may have had a stroke, or any type of traumatic brain injury, sometimes it's difficult to engage the lips.
Okay.
And so this instrument encourages them to kind of pull the lips together, like in an ooh, to be able to use the lips. Now, if it's somebody who has autism and they don't like using their vocal cords at all, that's a whole different thing, because I will demonstrate to them that I can make a sound with it, and they're like, well, how are you doing it? I want to do it too.
And then somehow they'll just find out.
And then they'll figure it out. They'll be like,
Eventually.
oh, eventually. How to use my voice. Okay. But okay, it's fun.
Yes.
You know? Like, and so having fun little tools are very essential to the music therapist.
Okay.
One of my mentors once told me, if I don't like playing with it, they are not going to like playing with it. So, you know, we have all sorts of cool little knickknacks to kind of really bring out the inner child. So even if you're an adult, you know, we want you to be able to enjoy it. We want you to have fun when you come into the therapy session. Not saying there aren't tears. Sometimes there are tears, right? It is therapy after all. But it's usually quite enjoyable.
Okay. Right, that's for people to understand. It's not just, oh, we're going to play with some instruments and it's playtime.
No.
And this is not...
It's with a goal in mind.
Yeah, this is proper therapeutic work, not how to get my child babysitting for a couple hours. Or how to get a break. Because
Certainly not.
some parents with special needs children, one of the things is like, you know, you hear stories about, well, I need a break. And this is not that. This is
Actually, no. Sometimes the parent is there in the session.
Has to be involved.
Yeah, some of them, they have to be there all the time. A lot of the times I prefer that, you know, especially if it's a child, you can be there for the first few sessions because it takes time for the child to get used to a stranger and, you know, feel comfortable and be able to follow my instructions as a stranger. But after about 3 to 4 sessions, I'm like, okay, Mom, Dad, you stay in the waiting room, and we work with the child. Yeah.
All right, cool. So so we have a few minutes left. She has something here that's really, really nice that I'm also excited about. We have a little
I don't know.
glockenspiel here. I know you all
Mark
can
and
see it.
Sean, can you pass a drum for me?
Sure.
Do you all like to share
With each other or just in general?
with each other?
Actually, we have some chromatic difficulties if we put it in the middle.
Chromatic difficulties. Okay, I like how you put that.
Okay.
So one of the things that I also do as a music therapist, not just individual sessions, but group sessions.
Right.
And in group sessions, we learn how to exist in society, right? And one of the things we do as productive citizens of Trinidad and Tobago is have camaraderie and share and take turns and learn how to wait and to be diplomatic and all of that, right?
Wait, this is Trinidad you're talking about?
Yes. I strictly stick to
That's my
music.
inner adult that's speaking. Inner adult.
Oh my gosh.
All right, but music is a very good tool to do that.
Right.
When we're making music, you have to share, right? In order for us to make music together, we must exist in that space simultaneously. So it's not like a conversation where I have to talk and then you have to talk and then and back and forth. No, we can actually make music simultaneously and hear each other and listen to each other and cooperate with each other simultaneously.
All right, no problem. I have,
Look, I'm showing for you.
No, I'm
You
just-
still like how
I
that
have,
works.
it's a very,
No,
I know
no,
y'all can't see, but it's a very colorful, like, glockenspiel. I have my 2 mallets right here. They're really nice.
I will say it's something that I believe in. Extracurriculars, of which for young people, music is one of them. Because just like what you said, it's not about we take turns. It's about learning how to build something greater than the sum of its parts, right? And a sports team, especially depending on the sports though, is also like that. Like obviously football, you have 11 men on the team. It's kind of similar, but at the end of the day with sports, it's usually only one ball. So you have to coordinate, but With music, you can't actually have all 11 or all 24
Everybody at the same
or
time.
60 literally going at the same time.
And, you know, there's this beautiful thing that happens, and I know as a choral person, you get it. When you have everybody just making music together at the same time, there's something so
Yes.
otherworldly
He's singing choirs too.
that takes you to another place because you're just existing.
Boy. Sorry.
Not to be corny, but you're literally existing in harmony
Yes.
with
Yes.
everybody around
Yeah.
you.
Yes.
And it's just a wonderful experience to be in the middle of that, you
Yes,
know?
it is. It is.
And so I do that with music for persons who don't typically get the opportunity to do that in other spaces because it's difficult.
Yeah, it's a bit more organized, so it doesn't really.
Right.
Structured, I should say.
And well, we have a lot of structure, but I'm able to deal with all of the different stimming things that might come about. Or maybe I have somebody with Tourette syndrome that just randomly cussing on the side sometimes.
Yes.
Or, you know,
Yes, it's hard to do
or
a
the
quintal
flapping
performance
and all of
with,
these things, right?
Yeah.
And so we have a community that we're building to kind of help give everybody the opportunity to have those intangible experiences. All right, so I have a little toy trumpet here.
Very
It's not real. Or you can have the drum again if you would like. So
The drum might be better.
the drum will be better. You don't want to make noise. I forget you have a headache.
It's not just that.
Oh boy, do you have trauma with the trumpet?
No.
All right, cool. It's a very colorful glockenspiel, by the way. It's
Okay,
rainbow.
so you are free to play anything you want to play, both of you.
Well, I'll try to follow.
I almost going to ask you what key we in.
Well, here's the thing. Most of my clients don't know anything about my key. They don't know anything.
So just go.
So just go, and I follow you as a music therapist, and I give it the congruity that it
I
needs.
am not performing as a musician right now, people, so please do not judge me, okay? Thank you very much. Okay.
He's performing as his inner child.
Oh, boy.
Yes. Oh, I saw what you did there. Oh, that's so cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you had to follow Mike. Okay. Wow. That was so much fun.
And he was also paying attention to you
yeah.
and keeping the beat and working together.
Okay.
Now, I mean, this is testament to how good of a team you guys already are.
Yeah.
No, it's a I'm not being sarcastic.
This is Mr. Duman Group, anyway. So he's just.
I'm barely actually hitting it anywhere I want to. Meanwhile, Mark is playing 3 different keys in any one bar.
Because she told me to be a child. Oh my gosh, unorganized music. Sorry. But this was really good.
There's a joke that I'm gonna make after when we go on break.
Okay, no problem.
It's unorganized, but it's organized in the sense that you guys were able to work together to achieve something beautiful together. And remember, for persons, again,
we
who
achieved
don't
something.
always have the opportunity to do
Yes.
that, this experience, they go away feeling so like in awe and appreciated, and as though they belong somewhere, and as though they are human, right? The approach that I have for music therapy is definitely about understanding our humanity. It's about humanism and who we are as people and the root of who we are.
Okay.
Right? So
this was really.
This might seem very, very, what's the word, not pertinent, but I also find another area for some people, believe it or not, when you go online to play whatever game, but you do it to play with a group of people. There's something very different than if you're just going to play against a set of people or do it by yourself. So it's ironically not everything with electronic devices and the internet is all bad. There is some social aspects, but the flip side is this is probably rarer for most people.
yes.
Yeah.
So you hit on something very important there, the social aspect of it. Human beings are social beings. We are meant to be social beings. And music has been at the crux of it all. If you think about music, it is there when you have a funeral. Music is there when you have a birthday.
Yeah.
Music is there when you have the birth or wedding or anything that is happening, or even a sporting activity.
Music is there when you have a ceremony like a graduation or some diplomatic event to pad the time and make it hours long, what only needs to be 10 to 15 minutes.
Yes. Okay, you've covered some things. You have a little crack there. That's
It's to make you enjoy it.
I had to wait in the wings for one CARICOM ceremony there for hours, just to be the next or one of the last
I bet
musical.
what you was listening to made you definitely feel as